has been holding on to the football a whopping 30 turnovers in 9 games. That's the most in the country. But Duke did beat Miami here in 2019. They'll try to upend the Canes' chances of having a special season in 2020. Still an awful lot for the Hurricanes to play for tonight. So Duke won the opening toss. They have elected to defer to the second half, and we are underway on a cool night here in Durham, North Carolina. Miami, by the way, with 15 unavailable players. We give you a look at our player spotlight now, brought to you by Geico. And more on De'Ara King, who's been phenomenal, really, going back to his days as the quarterback for Houston. And now with Miami, you total it, it's 102 touchdowns, Tim, he's responsible for.
It's insane production. That's one of the reasons you love him at quarterback. Did play some receiver at Houston, but just ball in his hands, good things happen for your offense. And you mentioned it, Dave, about the turnaround and his responsibility in that. Really been the biggest change for the Canes.
As his tight end Jordan in motion, and he's going to throw on first down to open up the ball game here, and he fires that one incomplete on the first effort of the night, intended for Mike Harley, who uses an awful lot. That would have been his 42nd reception of the season.
And receiver and production at receiver, kind of an issue for Miami early on. But in recent games, really their last 3, these Miami receivers have really stepped up.
They're going to run the football. Bit of an opening there for Jalen Knight. And don't be surprised if some of these younger running backs, like the freshman there, as that one is fumbled and scooped up by Ben Fry, if they get an opportunity early on. But Knighton pays for it there.
Yeah, and you mentioned playing some of the younger running backs. We're used to seeing Cameron Harris start the game, but here is an early carry for Knighton, and it was just good pursuit to the football by Derek Tangelo, number 4. And he gets this football out. When you talk about the turnovers for Duke offensively, Dave, I mean, this is exactly what they needed. A short field to give them a chance. Finally get a takeaway and good opportunity offensively.
So Chase Bryce, the former quarterback, the backup at Clemson, who's had all sorts of turnover issues, as mentioned, getting an opportunity right away. And a takedown by Jennings on Deion Jackson. And a gain of just 1 yard on the carry. Now, Chase Bryce, just a terrible time hanging onto the ball with all of those turnovers. Not only the 13 interceptions, Tim, he's also lost 5 fumbles this season.
Yeah, and it's been a challenge for him playing in a new system, playing with new players. Obviously, the offseason and training camp didn't, help his situation, but they do need him to protect the ball much better than he has.
Trying to throw on second down, but he's going to go down in a heap. And Jalen Phillips all over him, the outstanding defensive end, as he picks up his 6th sack of the season. He has been a monster.
Well, and part of what we've talked about with Chase Bryce is his inability to hold on to the football. Being under pressure will do that to you. And Jalen Phillips, who's been really a godsend for this Miami defense, been their most productive defensive end, gets off to a good start with another sack.
So a loss of 4, 3rd down and 14. For the former backup to Trevor Lawrence, very rarely got into a game that meant anything. Trying to stay on his feet and make some yardage here, but he's going to be taken down. Stopped by Bubba Bolden, the strong safety. He will pick up 1 yard on that carry.
Yeah, they want Chase Bryce to play. Got much of a hand on Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Phillips right away having a huge impact on this game. They're going to have to find a way to protect Bryce better than they have on 2nd and 3rd down there.
So Porter Wilson trying to drop that around the 10-yard line. Did a nice job there, but unable to take advantage of the turnover right out of the gate. And so Miami gets it back. No score here in Durham.
We at the ACC.
Well, Miami back with the football, and head coach Manny Diaz has called this week a week like no other, as his players have started to filter back into practice as late as yesterday. And King will dump off the short one to the tight end, Brevin Jordan, as he takes to the right sideline. You know, missing all of this time, Tim, but that doesn't mean that everybody came back healthy, ready to go. As they pick up 13 yards here, it's been several days to get even this squad ready to play.
Getting them back at different points and getting them back at different points on a short week. Just finding out they were playing Duke at 8 o'clock on Sunday night of this past week. So it's certainly been a challenge. As you know, you even see a guy like Brevin Jordan. Yeah, the layoff maybe helped guys like Jordan, who've been dealing with a knee injury. Same thing with Will Mallory, another one of Miami's tight ends. But I think it just, there's an uneasiness in terms of when you get players back and who's actually available.
2nd down 10 after the long pass intended for Harley. Going to run the football. And pick up 1 yard on a carry by Chaney. And let's get down to Katie George.
Well, guys, Jalen Knighton was visibly upset after the early fumble over on Miami's sideline. D'Eriq King made it a point to come over and slap Knighton on the helmet. Told him keep his head up, no harm done.
Well, we'll see if that's the case. 3rd down and 10 is the youngster fumble. And again, maybe some rust showing up early here as King had to pounce on it and keep from giving it away again. And that's going to lose 6 yards and bring up 4th down.
When you talk about, you know, some rust, looks like maybe a little miscommunication there, as you see Knighton once again kind of coming across D'Eriq King's face as if he's, you know, have a run fake. And D'Eriq King just not securing the football and gets knocked out. And that's a great start here for Duke's defense. Cause a turnover, get a 3 and out. I think that David Cutcliffe's got to be thrilled with how his defense has responded.
Robinson back to receive the punt. Off the leg of Lou Headley, the 6'4" Australian who we've talked about in the past, is certainly one of the most colorful players in the ACC. He'll get one off for 42 yards there. And of course, Phillips right in the thick of it defensively for Miami, their top edge rusher. He's got a terrific future in the NFL. At UCLA, the coaches really believe that he fell out of love with the game of college football, Tim. He had all those injuries, an unfortunate scooter accident. Looked like he was ready to leave the game. In fact, he had announced his retirement. But man, is he playing great football for Miami.
He's been incredible. And, you know, Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for Miami Hurricanes.
False start, false offense, number 63, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
That'll be the right guard, Jacob Monk.
And Blake Baker told us, he said, within 4 days, I knew this guy was going to be a really good player. You know, just his effort, his ability. And, you know, he kind of reported the Miami light, you know, about 225, 230 pounds. And, you know, now he's playing up over 260. And we've already seen how he can impact the football game. They believe he is a 1st-round talent at the defensive end position.
1st and 15 for Bryce. Back to throw, some time in the pocket, but now he comes ahead and he's going to be dragged down. Stopped by Jalen Phillips again, who is suddenly getting very cozy with the quarterback for the Duke Blue Devils. They gain nothing on that one.
Yeah, and he just does a nice job here. He basically gets double teamed and does a good job of retracing his steps as Chase Bryce climbs in the pocket. And so you see one of the reasons why, whether it's the long arms, whether it's just his ability to be relentless and continue to play hard. You know, a guy that was believed to maybe have fallen out of love of football is playing with passion and like he loves the game now.
2nd and 16, and a short pass will not get a whole lot. Complete to Jalen Calhoun, along with Jake Bobo, the top target for Chase Bryce. You're talking about Bryce, and a guy who had Clemson. There was a lot of talk even by Dabo Swinney that he might play at the next level, and rarely got into a game where it wasn't 40 or 45 points, something like that. He talked about that this week, not necessarily as an excuse for why this season has gone so poorly, but to try and understand why he hasn't clicked yet. 3rd and 16. Trying to air it out. He'll throw over the middle, and that was deflected and incomplete.
And Dave, to piggyback on Chase Bryce and the struggles, you know, very rarely faced adversity. You know, you mentioned, you know, when he would play at Clemson, he would go in and oftentimes surrounded by, you know, with better players than the opponent. And obviously this is a much different situation. And, you know, this year even has affected different programs, you know, not in the same way. And so I think some of the challenges for Duke and his inability to get familiar with the system and the players around him has probably made this more challenging.
They'll roll down to the 12-yard line. 9:40 to go here in the first, and no score. Duke and number 10 Miami tonight in Durham.
We love our new home. There's so much space.
We have a guest.
ACC Network Football is presented by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance. And in part by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order. Only at Zaxby's.
Well, you look at the guys who've been part of all the celebrations, the championships, 5 national championships at Miami, starting with Howard Snellenberger there, and a celebration from way back in 1983. And Tim, in your days at BC, you got a taste of the Miami way and the great speed and the great talent.
And when you can recruit South Florida the way they have been able to, you obviously can have a team littered with guys that play with a ton of speed, go on to the next level, and have amazing careers at the next level. But yeah, the history and tradition at Miami is a great one.
And Manny Diaz trying to bring that back, and this is certainly a huge step in the right direction. He's getting a lot of credit for hires, in particular his offensive coordinator, Red Lashley, as that one is broken up and intended for the tight end. Intended for Brevin Jordan. Their tight ends, Mallory and Jordan, are the healthiest they have been, Manny told us this week, since the second week of the season. They're expecting a big night from both of them.
And I think that was probably the only benefit to the layoff, was guys that had been playing through some of those bumps and bruises, like Mallory and Jordan. They were able to get healthy, you know, non-COVID healthy, you know, through that time.
3rd down 13 for King. Here's Cam Harris. And back to throw. And will fire over the middle, and that one complete to Harley. Will be stepping out of bounds after the gain. Mike Harley, who has 24 catches, Tim, in his last 3 games. If you talk about a target over the last 3, it's been the case all season long. He had a 10-reception game against Virginia, which was the best of his career. But he's been sensational as well. And stay on the ground here for Harris. Into the pile, and a gain of 2.
And Dave, we had that game against Virginia, kind of a coming out party for Mike Harley. And you know, that week leading into the game, it was almost as if the receivers had been called out a little bit by Rhett Lashley to step up. They were looking for guys to do it, and Mike Harley's done that.
2nd and 8, the quarterback, and he can certainly break your back this way. Derek King with the carry. And a fine gain as he'll pick up 12.
Yeah, and you see with tempo and then the ability for the quarterback to keep the football as a designed carrier with a football, you can see how this will stretch your defense.
Harris with another carry. He's been, you know, openly critical of not getting the football as many touches as he would like to here in the last couple of weeks.
And I think it's a tricky spot for a junior running back to be in. He's been a good player for Miami, but you know, you also have 2 true freshman running backs that they are really excited about, and you know, divvying up the carries is hard, especially when you have 3 backs that you're trying to rotate in there. And you know, it usually is hardest on the oldest, if you will, when that happens.
One of those was Knighton, who fumbled on his very first carry, the first possession of the night, as they stay on the ground for Harris again. And for more on Knighton, let's toss it down to Katie.
Well, guys, Jalen Knighton was asked by Miami's medical staff to enter the medical tent to be looked at. He was actually reluctant to do so, but moments ago he exited without his shoulder pads and helmets, and he has been escorted back to the Miami locker room.
All right, so obviously shaking up the 5'10" freshman out of Fort Lauderdale. His pride hurt a little bit as well, probably. Chaney trying to break away down the right side with a big gain from Miami. After the short pass from Derek King, that gains 19 yards.
Yeah, and this is another one of the talented true freshman runners for Miami. Just do a nice job of leaking him out into the flat and move the pocket play for Derek King. And like it when it's an easy completion for a big pickup.
King trying to find a hole, but he's going to be taken down. Stopped on that carry, and a gain of 3 yards for the senior. Houston transfer, who's been outstanding, if not necessarily Heisman worthy, with 17 touchdown passes, only 4 interceptions. Done a very good job taking care of the football for the Hurricanes. No score early, but sensing that the Hurricanes are beginning to find a little bit of offensive momentum where they look pretty choppy early on. And second down coming up. And the officials getting together on the sideline here, and Cam Harris back in at a running back now for Miami. Second down and 7. King handing it off. Harris going to bounce outside across the 30-yard line for a determined run. Well, Cam Harris making some noise early. He'll pick up 10 and a first down. And you see just how quickly the Hurricanes like to go, and throwing long now, looking for the end zone. It's going to be overthrown and intended for D. Wiggins, the talented junior from Miami, and he was well covered.
Yeah, he was well covered, and Wiggins is another guy that has stepped up a bit in the passing game. Miami there goes formation into the boundary, run trips into the boundary, try to isolate an opportunity for Wiggins, and King just overshoots him a bit.
Miami with 4 first downs on this drive, and brings up second down 10 with Jordan on the move. They like to use the tight ends. They have 2 very good ones. He'll fire that one, and tumbling into the end zone for the touchdown is Brevin Jordan. A 24-yard strike.
They do like to use their tight ends, and this is exactly why, Dave. I mean, they move them. They basically run both of them vertical. Mallory goes to the corner. Here comes Jordan to the post, and it's just good timing and ball location by D'Eriq King. You see the anticipation right as he kind of made that break. Ball already on its way. Right about the face mask of Brevin Jordan.
88-yard touchdown drive for Miami to get on the board first here. And the extra point is good to make it 7-0. 6:01 to go here in the first, and the Canes have struck first against the Duke Blue Devils on a Saturday night in the ACC.
Defensive lines that would eat your lunch.
Freshness and enjoy super fast delivery. End this nutty year with nutterly yummy holiday treats from nuts.com. You, your family, and friends deserve it.
That's in the career of D'Eriq King.
He's so talented. So many different ways that he can beat you, Dave. You just see the third down run on top of how he can beat you as a passer. You see why he's just been so productive throughout his entire career.
So we'll see if Duke can get the offense rolling. Certainly capable of putting up some points. If you look at our New York Life drive.
Well thrown ball by D'Eriq King to Harley coming across the middle, and then here's D'Eriq King as a runner. Does a good job of keeping it, getting upfield, picking up the first down, and then when they have both tight ends, they're so dangerous. They feel like they can kind of put their best 11 on the field when both guys are available, and they do that as they find Brevin Jordan going to the post.
88 yards. Jordan for a 24-yard touchdown reception. And it's going to be complete to Pankel on the sideline. Eli Pankel for the 18th time this season, the sophomore out of Pendleton, Indiana. Speaking of tight ends, Tim, a big loss before the game. It was announced that Noah Gray, who's an all ACC caliber tight end, not available for the Duke Blue Devils, just picked up their first down of the night. A lower body injury, and that one really hurts Chase Bryce and the Blue Devil offense. So much goes through him. Going to run it here with Durant up the middle, and a decent carry. Mateo Durant, who's their top rusher.
And Durant is a guy that I think needs to step up a little bit. He's a really, I think when you look at their playmakers, I think he's one of their more dangerous players with a ball in his hand. And then, Dave, to piggyback what you're saying about Noah Gray being out, he's been their most dependable, most reliable, productive player offensively, and so it is a huge loss.
Yeah, he's number 2 in the ACC, catches by a tight end behind Hunter Long of Boston College. A rushing attempt here by Jackson will pick up 4 yards for Duke.
And Durant's a guy who, when you watch him, he's kind of got a unique style. He's kind of tall and lean at the running back position, but he's really done a good job the past few weeks. You just see kind of how his production has picked up, and they like Deion Jackson, another back in the backfield for Duke, but I think he's a pretty versatile player, and finding more opportunities for him, I think we'll see pretty good production.
Gets the ball again here and didn't do it here, but his last 5 games he's averaging 7 yards per carry, so he's been ripping off big chunks even in losses here for the Duke Blue Devils, who come in with a record of 2-7. Last 2 games have been disastrous, frankly. A 56-24 loss to North Carolina, a 56-33 swamping by Georgia Tech. 2nd down and 11. And Chase Bryce trying to make something on this drive. Will fire that one into the flat. And complete, but nothing really doing as he got it out to Durant. And will gain just 2 yards.
When you see Duke get into these empty sets, and that's why Durant is out of the backfield there, they have a really good offense in empty. I think David Cutcliffe has a great plan for it. He coaches it a lot. It's been something that he's done for a long period of time, but if you can't protect the quarterback, it's hard to live in that environment, especially when you get into some of these long yardage situations.
3rd and long for Chase Bryce. He's going to fire that one out of bounds and intended for Harding, so they're going to be forced to punt. Coach Cutcliffe told us this week, he said, we don't go 900 miles an hour like Miami with the pace of their offense. Their defense, he said, remember, they play against that, so they're used to it. So we're going to go at a much slower pace. You're going to see a lot more huddles tonight in the Duke offense.
I think it's a good idea with just kind of how this year has gone. Speeding it up and trying to keep pace with Miami, it probably isn't the right move.
That'll bounce right on through the end zone. 7-0 Miami. Well, next Sunday, December 13th, catch a triple header of 6 undefeated women's basketball teams on ACC Network. Clemson and Pitt at noon. At 2, number 8 NC State takes on Boston College, and at number 5 Louisville will battle North Carolina at 4. ACC women's basketball triple header next Sunday starting at noon on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck from our homes. Katie George there in Durham, North Carolina. Wallace Wade Stadium. Miami taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Look at the early numbers on King. 5 out of 9 for an impressive touchdown drive. And going to run it here and try and make a big gain for Chaney. Another one of those talented young running backs. We're talking about freshman from Homestead, Florida, who does have 3 touchdowns this season.
And they line him up out of the backfield to hand him the ball as if he's a receiver on a reverse. And, Corey Gaynor just can't get out in front of him enough to pick somebody up. But you can see that there's clearly a desire by Rhett Lashley to get, these freshman running backs as many touches as he can.
Quarterback will keep it and will not get to the 30-yard line. We're talking about Rhett Lashley, first year as the offensive coordinator. And one of the major success stories with Miami this year has been his offense. And there's been a lot of talk about where he might go next. Already head coaching jobs, being bandied about with his name attached.
Well, he's got a really interesting history in that, he's a Gus Malzahn disciple. He's actually his high school quarterback, or, when Malzahn was a high school coach, he was the quarterback. And he decided to kind of, take a unique path after, kind of being in the Malzahn coaching tree. Wasn't afraid to venture on, on his own and go other places. So after being with him at Auburn, he decided to go to UConn, be an offensive coordinator coached at SMU as the offensive coordinator, and he's kind of combined the air raid with, the Gus Malzahn run game, and I think it's one of the things that makes him pretty unique and desirable, especially when you see the immediate impact that he's had on Miami's offense.
And Red said, if anyone wants to hire him as a head coach at the moment, pull a tape of the Virginia Tech game, and they're going to think twice. So, he was pretty much, laughing about it this week. But his name has been connected to the Vandy job, among others. Maybe getting to the Southeastern Conference as they pick up the first down.
Well, he knows how to quiet rumors, Dave. So isn't that probably a pretty good characteristic of a head coach?
You talked to him, player down here for Duke, by the way. Talked to him as we have, you and I, several times this season covering Miami, and he sounds like a head coach in the interview setting. He doesn't. I don't think he lacks for a lot of self-confidence.
No, and I think that if you were willing, if you just think about his path, it's clearly a desire. Some guys, you're attached to a coach like Gus Malzahn, you maybe feel like, hey, listen, there's going to be some good stability here, and there's going to be an opportunity to be with the same crew for a long time. But if you've got personal aspirations as well, you make moves like the moves that he has made to be with other coaches, and and I think that we're seeing it pay off for him. And he's certainly benefiting from De'Ara King being his quarterback this season, but it's been the biggest change for them when you look at last year compared to this year for Miami.
First down 10. Came with a short toss here again to the tight end Jordan, who will race out of bounds as he is nudged out. Pushed out by Chris Rumpf, who has 8 sacks this season, preseason All-American on several lists. Really one of the true bright spots for the Duke Blue Devils.
Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And an automatic first down.
As you get into the sideline here, I just think it ends up being Chris Hood, I think, comes in late. As Jordan's already got a foot out of bounds. Manny thought it was late and probably helped facilitate that call.
So Miami on the move again. King will fire, and that's going to be caught. A completed pass. Restrepo with a nice grab there for 13 yards on the game.
Restrepo not a guy that plays a whole lot. I think the improvement at the wide receiver position, Dave, with Harley stepping up, I think it's almost been contagious. You're seeing it from Wiggins, and you're seeing it from Pope.
I got a breakaway here, heading for the end zone, in for the touchdown, Cam Harris. Some great misdirection there as King took off in the opposite direction, and Harris rumbled in for 6.
You're right, Dave, about the misdirection. We've seen it. We've seen a couple of boots. We've seen leaking guys out into the flat after some misdirection. We saw a reverse, and this one here with it was kind of a zone read with De'Ara King reading Chris Rumpf, and it's just well blocked up front. And this, in many ways, looks like the Georgia Tech game, for Duke, where just getting gashed in the run game and, untouched, out of your gap responsibilities, and that's a walk-in for Cam Harris,
who has made it 14-0. Harris getting some big early opportunities, and he is cashing in. May not be totally thrilled with the limited number of carries he got before, but he's making a big difference here tonight early on for the Canes.
He has been a reliable player, and it's well blocked up front. You just see the movement and push that get inside, and Manny Diaz obviously excited about it. I think it's one of the things as a player, you just have to be excited, for your opportunities, and you can be frustrated if somebody else is kind of taking carries away from you if you're a running back, but you never know how this thing is going to end up working out. Cam Harris, when he's been given his opportunities, has done a great job with them, and looks like this not any different.
Yeah, already tonight with 54 yards. Last 5 games, the numbers haven't been there for him, but they are using him this evening. That last one from 34 yards as he races into the end zone. So, in the early couple of possessions, Miami certainly looked rusty. Not anymore. Not good news for Duke with 1:15 to go here in the first quarter. So Miami kicking off again. And into the end zone for the touchback. So the Hurricanes looking for some help tonight. Clemson and Virginia Tech. That game got started about a half hour before this game. Clemson wins. They are into the ACC championship. No matter what happens here, and would take on Notre Dame. Notre Dame with a bit of a choppy start themselves against Syracuse this afternoon, but eventually rolled and won for the 10th time in 10 tries today. So Chase Bryce, former Clemson quarterback, trying to get a long drive going himself. So far it's been very tough sledding. He's going to fire over the middle and a completed pass. He got that one away to Calhoun. Dylan Calhoun, along with Jake Bobo and Dennis Smith and Eli Pankow, the receiving corps for Chase Bryce. You know, his head coach Cutcliffe was talking this week, Tim, about how after several of these losses he's been so beaten down that Chase Bryce has looked, he said, emotionally and mentally exhausted. There's no question he's gotten hit a lot. That's only part of it, though. I mean, he's been winning his entire career. They'll fire to Jackson. Completed pass to pick up 4 yards.
I think the expectations have added to the stress. You know, he had a successful high school career, goes to Clemson and was kind of a loved player at Clemson, and only kind of played in these situations where things were going well. And now all of a sudden you hit some adversity and people kind of questioning what's going on. I think it is emotionally and probably mentally exhausting when it's been such a struggle.
Jackson with a carry as he looks to bounce outside. Deion Jackson getting the football. And the end of the quarter coming up. That'll pick up about 5 for Duke. Yeah, the first quarter where Miami got it rolling for head coach Manny Diaz, picking up 14. Miami on top 14-0. All Miami, really. Even though the first couple of times they touched it, they put the ball on the ground, but they have bounced back fast from that. Only one lost fumble. Duke in possession right into the center of the line. Deion Jackson trying to make something, but he is stopped by Miami, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 1. Well, they did get the first down. That was to get the first down, so 1st down and 10 coming up. So just underway here in the second. And the pass completed, and a short toss. Got that one to the tight end. Marwidi, who's backing up Noah Gray, was unable to play tonight with that lower body injury, and that'll pick up 9 yards.
And I think that's what Duke needs to do a little bit. It'll help with Noah Gray out. Move the pocket plays, find easy completions for Chase Bryce. And I think the more you can do that, the more you can get a quarterback comfortable and make him feel less like a sitting duck just back in the pocket.
Jackson running right into a tank as he is stopped by Bradley Jennings, who saw him coming.
Yeah, and this is a nice play by Bradley Jennings, playing downhill, and you see him just meet Jackson and get the better of it. Low man wins oftentimes, and that's a good job downhill playing low by Bradley Jennings.
So Durant back in at a running back. He's going to try the center of the line again, but not a whole lot there. Let's see if he got it. And 3rd down and 1. And did not get it, so it's 4th and short.
It looks like they'll go for, I think, a good decision. Remember, a year ago they had that option package. They obviously don't have that with Chase Bryce as your quarterback.
Straight ahead by the QB. And we'll pick up a 1st down.
Chase Bryce on the keeper. The chains too blue. Now spotted to the 43-yard line for his 1st down.
So a 1st down for Duke, trying to win for the 3rd time this season. Miami leads the all-time series 13-4 over Duke. But last year, it was probably the best win of the season for the Blue Devils. Rice to fire, and that one nearly intercepted, incomplete. Corey Couch, the corner, nearly came up with that one on a toss by Chase Bryce. And a flag on the play, and also a man down.
Number 78, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And we will take a timeout with 12:34 to go here in the second. 14-0 Miami on top of the Blue Devils.
This is the new iPhone 12 Pro with 5G, and it's on AT&T.
Post-snap read and then having an alarm to get rid of the football so you're not holding on to it. And the alarm's going off early because that's Quincy Roche, with just the quarterback taking one hitch. Fake the go screen, try to throw the seam, and you're already getting hit. And so that alarm that's not like a 6 a.m. alarm, Dave. That's like a 4:30 a.m. alarm.
Yeah, that's 6'3", about 250 coming at you pretty darn hard. Durant goes up the middle for Duke. The man who came off, by the way, was the left guard Maurice McIntyre as he limped off the field a moment ago before the timeout. So 14-0 lead here for Miami. Clemson and Virginia Tech, last we looked, were locked up 10-10 in a game at Blacksburg tonight. Still so much on the line for Miami. Boy, if Clemson is upset, that would be a mammoth upset, obviously, but would be huge for Miami if they could pull off a win tonight. Going to get the short pass out here to Jake Bobo. First time that we've called Bobo's numbers. He picks up 9, and he has been the second most reliable receiver, the guy they love to use on first down.
And as he gets healthy, I think he can help him. He's a big target, and they like him in the realm of having contested catches. And I think, when you're not loaded with speed, you need guys to be able to fight for the football, and they feel like Bobo can really do that.
3rd down and 7. Duke trying to advance the football. This one is going to be darted to Calhoun. Jalen Calhoun with the catch, and a gain of 6 for Duke. Now the ACC has just had so much success getting games in. Through last weekend, no conference has played more football games in the country than the ACC. Injury timeout with 11 minutes to play here in the second. And Nesta Jade Silvera is the man down. Tackle for Miami. We'll take the break too. 14-0. The Canes in control early.
Congratulations. Welcome to the AFLAC program. Now tell me, what does that
17-10 just before halftime. Coastal Carolina has knocked off BYU. Final 22-17.
That's an incredible one. And you're right about Clemson. I mean, Clemson kind of in a fight. And you think about, here's Notre Dame being in the ACC this year, Dave. The chance to obviously have another competitive game in a conference championship environment, which is unique for them. It's a lot of interesting things happening before December 20th.
Well, Duke trying to convert another 4th down. And a little pitch here, and they're going to snuff this one out, and Pankow wasn't going anywhere. Miami saw that coming from 6 miles away. They're going to lose 10 yards on the trickery. Phillips, man, eyes everywhere by him.
What a great play. Just great discipline. He's on the right side of your screen here, and as Duke is trying to run this reverse, look at Jalen Phillips just keep his contain, do a good job of getting upfield. And listen, that's just a smart football play. We've talked about his ability as a pass rusher. We saw it early in this football game. Oftentimes guys like that, high motor guys, want to just put their head down and run. That's a great job of being aware, and understanding what's happening.
So taking over on downs, King winding up to throw. He's going to fire that one deep, a battle for it, and it's broken up, intended for Mike Harley in the center of the field. And looking for a long strike there. Carter able to deflect that one away. Otherwise, a huge gain for Miami. 2nd down and 10. Harley, the fastest player on offense. And another man down. We've had a lot of injuries early on in this game. particularly for the Duke Blue Devils. And have another player down. That is Carter. Michael Carter just made a fine play moments ago. So 10:34 to go here in the second, and Miami with a 14-0 advantage over Duke. And Carter kind of hobbling off the field. Take another look.
Well, they kind of both go up for the football, and as he comes down, I think Harley kind of gets on him, and he gets up right away. And you just think about how depleted the secondary has been. That's been a challenge for Duke, and they like to play a lot of man coverage.
Harris, look at this in the open field now, getting behind some blocking as he crosses the 40 and finally steps out of bounds after another terrific run. He is having the biggest night of any of the Hurricanes early on.
Yeah, you mentioned terrific run, and he's more of a pounder kind of back. He's got very good speed, but the elusiveness there, a little sidestep in the open field. It's a nice job by Cameron Harris.
For the first down, and a quarterback King will keep this one. Earlier tonight tossed his 68th career touchdown pass. He'll gain 8 here. He's rushed for over 400 yards this season.
You just get a sense of Miami's pace, Dave. After the failed 4th down attempt by Duke, how quickly they just want to come right at you.
Harris with a couple of runs of 30 yards or better. Going to keep it on the ground here for Chaney, right into the pile. Big stack there. Jeremiah Lewis will get credit for that one. We're talking about the success that the ACC has had in playing football games, and Commissioner Swafford, his staff, the medical experts, the university presidents, the ADs, the players, the coaches. The conference really deserves a big hand for being able to play as many games as they had. King again heading for the end zone. He dives to the pylon and a touchdown. D'Eriq King will take another look, but he goes diving for the end zone, and 6 more for the Hurricanes.
Just keeps it on a zone read like we saw him earlier. And does a nice job here, just kind of being physical towards the end zone. Starting to reach that football out. It's dangerous, obviously, that part of the field. But I think he's in. Ruled a touchdown on the field, and as long as that ball wasn't fumbled, which it doesn't appear to be,
is a touchdown. Previous play,
it's going to stand.
under further review.
Of course, they will review it. Here's a better look.
He's got that right foot inbound still as he's kind of fighting into the end zone. I think initial contact with Jeremiah Lewis, I'm not sure he's in, but he does fall forward, and I think this angle right here, it's hard to tell at the initial contact. It was ruled a touchdown. You see his right foot comes down. It's still inbounds, and I think that's a touchdown.
Well, that is the ruling on the field. The play is under review. 9:07 to go in the second quarter. And Miami already dominating this affair. Heavy favorite here tonight against the Duke Blue Devils. And if it does stand, it's a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown already for the Hurricanes quarterback, D'Eriq King.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So another touchdown for King and Miami. And with the extra point, looking to make it 21-0. And for a team that hasn't played in 3 weeks, they sharpen things up pretty darn fast. Under Manny Diaz, they knocked off the rust after a couple of kind of ugly possessions early, and that'll be drilled for the extra point to make it 21-0.
Yeah, D'Eriq King just doing a good job of reading the backside. It's a zone read, as you see you know, Drew Jordan come down. He decides to keep the football. It's the right decision. Gets out on the perimeter, and then, you know, for a guy that's not real big, just over 200 pounds, he's not afraid of contact, and he does a good job of finishing through contact into the end zone. And you know, he's just been so good, so productive. And you know, it's funny, even talking to Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator for Miami, you know, he said to us, listen, we're excited to go play because anytime that we have D'Eriq King as our quarterback, we think we can win. And so it's almost like his leadership and his impact has, you know, it's transcended the football team, where it's not just on the offensive side of the ball, but everybody is believing that they can win because of his ability to make plays.
And he's made a lot of them here in the first half. 3 consecutive touchdown drives for the Hurricanes, leading 21-zip. So they will kick off again. You know, one of the things that the Duke coaches were telling us this week, they weren't really anticipating a rusty Miami team. They thought the break that they've had meant that they had fresh legs, that was the thing they feared more than anything else coming into this game tape.
Yeah, and I think there can be some truth to that. I think Manny would probably push back on that and saying, well, you don't have fresh legs if the guys have not been able to come into the facility for 2 weeks because of contact tracing or you know, something else that's preventing the team from practicing. And Manny was clear with us. This isn't like bowl practices where, you know, you're getting 2, you know, full weeks of work against each other full speed. That wasn't the environment. And so, I can't say that you have fresh legs. Some of those bumps and bruises this time of year maybe go away, sure. But I think it was a challenge, even with guys out tonight, to be in game shape.
Price thrown on first down, complete to Calhoun, trying to get away. Jalen Calhoun hauling that one in for a 2-yard gain. You know, we were mentioning how successful the conference has been in getting games like tonight played, and through last weekend, no conference had played more games than the ACC, which had managed to play 87% of its scheduled games. During this pandemic, that's kind of amazing. 93% of the teams in the conference have been able to play at least 10 games. Jackson will haul that one in. And that'll pick up 1 in this age of COVID-19. Really incredible success, I think, by and large.
Well, especially, Dave, when you think back to when some of these decisions were made, you had other conferences deciding not to play, and the ACC, you know, through a lot of people, medical advisors, leadership at the schools, as you said, leadership at the conference, so much sacrifice by so many people, but I think it's clearly been a success to see, and it's not been easy, but it's been a success to see all these games played.
Nice with fire, nice catch. And that one's going to be hauled in by Jake Bobo with a good hands.
This is what David Cutcliffe means about contested catches, you know, out of Jake Bobo. It's pretty well covered by DJ Ivey, and you know, it's not an easy throw with conflict in the pocket for Chase Brice. And you know, I think they're hoping to kind of build on that, to get more out of that type of connection out of 2 guys that also happen to be roommates.
Bobo, one of those tough kids out of Belmont, Massachusetts. Brice has to get rid of that one under heavy pressure from Roche. Quincy Roche, the Temple transfer, who gets on a quarterback very, very quickly.
We're talking so much about Jalen Phillips, but the guy that, you know, they had high expectations for when he decided to transfer from Temple was Quincy Roche. They knew what they were getting, and you know, that's Graham Barton, the true freshman center, mixing it up a little bit after the play with Silvera. And they think Graham Barton is going to be a really good player. Probably not at center. He's 6'6", kind of been forced into the situation of playing center, but done a pretty good job for a true freshman.
Brice so far 10 out of 13 throwing it. Another short toss to Durant. Actually, it's Calhoun who's going to haul that one in. 7:15 to go here before halftime, and Miami with a 21-0 lead.
You see the plan here, Dave. You know, spit the ball out to the numbers, make these defensive linemen run sideline to sideline. you know, that's why it's almost like a hot potato sometimes for Chase Brice. Catch it and spit it out there as fast as you can. And, you know, I won't be surprised if we see something similar again here, even though it's 3rd and 10.
Goes with the empty look again. Only 2 for 7 on 3rd down so far tonight. And short again to the tight end, Marwidi. And a 5-yard gain. Hurricanes coming in as the number 10 ranked team in the country, still with an opportunity to play for the ACC championship and more. And building a fast early lead here. 4th down and 5. So Duke will punt again for the 4th time tonight. They'll be looking to add on here tonight on a cool night in Durham, North Carolina. That bounce down to the 20 and inside. That's where the drive will begin. The next one for De'Ara King. After a 38-yard punt, there is a flag on the punt. 5:56 to go in a half.
Illegal formation. 5 players lining up in the backfield. That 5-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the kick. 1st down.
All right, we'll take the break. 21-0. Manny Diaz and Miami.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower. Over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? That's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about...
All over it. I tell you, you've been reading up on the game notes, man.
Well, the essence of the dual threat quarterback. Last 3 seasons, De'Ara King, including his time with Houston. 12th game with a pass and a rushing touchdown. He's done that tonight and continues to be so impressive in so many ways. And as Tim mentioned, you know, they feel like if he's on the bus, they've got an opportunity to win the game. It doesn't matter who they play. That's the high regard they hold this young man in. 1st down and 10. On the carry, it's Harris, who's had a big night early. Going to lose 2 yards on that one. And Miami with 3 consecutive touchdown drives. 88 yards, 80 yards. The last one for 56. Harris again, a running back with 5.5 to go in the 2nd quarter. Trying the outside before he will race out of bounds. Cam Harris on the carry and will gain 4 yards for Miami.
You know, Dave, it's interesting. Just thinking back to talking to Manny Diaz prior to the season starting and their game against UAB. He called De'Ara King the modern quarterback. You know, I think there's some questions about is he a runner, is he a passer, and he's like, wait, he's the modern quarterback. And you know, you look at, you know, going back to that statistic of rushing and passing touchdown, pretty accurate description.
Gonna run and throw. That one nearly picked off as he did get the pass away under pretty good pressure. Dimukiji, the man who was coming behind him very quickly.
Yeah, it was pretty good pressure, and it was Dimukiji. As you see, I think he just gets enough of his legs that kind of forces that ball to sail. As you see him climb in the pocket, because of that contact, it's an inaccurate throw to Will Mallory, and as you said, kind of fortunate that that ball wasn't tipped up and picked off after that.
So Lou Headley to get off the punt here for Miami. That time Duke with the stop as the Australian gets that one away and a fair catch. So we will take the break with 4:44 left before the half. 21-zip Miami.
On a high-stakes Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Take us through what happened.
Well, I just sat down with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled. Dr. Pepper's always relevant.
Did you say, and I quote, he's automatic. No way he misses.
He was automatic.
Never say.
And order online at taxshaver.com.
All we're obviously keeping a very close eye on Clemson at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. They're at halftime, and it's a tight one there with Clemson on top 17-10. Trevor Lawrence just 99 passing yards, 25 rushing yards, and a touchdown in that game. Hendon Hooker also shaken up in that game for Virginia Tech. So we'll continue to keep you posted on those scores as well. And on the run, it'll be Jackson trying to dart to the left side, and he's going to gain 5 yards for Duke. And they've had a lot of trouble moving the football. They're only averaging a little over 2.5 yards per play so far tonight.
And you just think it's kind of a chance. You got to do something here with, you know, just about 4 minutes left in the first half, down 21. Just have a little bit of a feeling of some type of success offensively prior to the half.
They will run again. It's Jackson, and the football is loose. It is loose on the deck. Miami says they have the football, and they do on a turnover. Roche able to dive ahead and gather that one in, and another turnover for the Duke Blue Devils, who came leading the country with 30 of them.
Yeah, and it's just a whiff up front by Casey Holman, and that play had no chance from the start. And you know, Deion Jackson, who looks like he's shaken up on the play as he loses the fumble. There's 3 defenders there essentially unblocked before he gets to the line of scrimmage. And I think it's been the big challenge for Duke. We've talked a lot about Chase Bryce and his turnovers as a team and the challenges they have. But, you know, ball security is a group effort, including the offensive line.
31 turnovers, and that's by far the most in the country.
Chaney, the ball carrier.
So Chaney running the football on first down. He lost a yard from Miami, stopped by Shaka Hayward. So second down coming up here with the Canes leading at 21-0.
The turnover chain, Dave, might lose some jewels in a game like this. Just
right,
you know, changing hands so many times.
Miami's made that famous, and there've been a lot of, you know, programs that have copied it over the years. But Miami the first. Second down and 11. King to step up, going to try and run it, and a pile surrounding him.
You're right about people copying the turnover chain, David. And no one ever admitted to it. It was like, no, this is our idea. It's something different. It's not a chain. We're like, well, it's a bracelet. I mean, you copied them, okay? Let's be honest. They came up with it. I don't care what anybody else said. They made it a thing, and I think it fits with their program. They bought into it, and you know, it is one of the things when you think about, you know, this program, the great defenses that they have had, creating opportunities for so much speed offensively.
Yes, great speed on both sides of the ball for, you know, so many great teams. Third down and 8 for King, and he will dump this one short, and the football comes loose as it rolls out of bounds, out of the hands of D. Wiggins. With just a couple of minutes to go before the end of the half.
Derek King's looking for a shot down the field, and you know, it isn't there, and so he, you know, goes to Wiggins to the sideline, and you know, I don't think that would be a catch and down by contact there.
So Borregales on to attempt the kick and get more points on the board here. He has been a real stabilizing factor.
Miami.
We have a timeout from Miami.
Timeout of the half. 30 seconds.
36 to go in the half. He's going to attempt this one from 43. And on Thursday, you can catch a women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC network at 6. It'll be North Carolina 4-0, taking on Wake Forest. And number 22 Syracuse taking on Miami at 8 p.m. That's coming up on Thursday right here on the ACC network. They're talking about Jose Borregales from Miami, and Now, Manny Diaz made this point before the season began. You know, the necessity to make kicks like this. They missed so many a season ago. It was demoralizing for the Hurricanes. What he's come on and done is really stabilized this. One of the many things that have gone right for Miami over the course of this season. Senior from Miami, 43 yards. And that one is no good. He's going to miss it. So not this time for Borregales, who's been very, very reliable. He had made 15 out of 16, but not this time. So 1:31 left in the half, 21-0 Miami, but they fail to add on as the field goal is no good. So we'll see if Coach Cutcliffe can get something going here right before the half and get something on the scoreboard. They will take over. Durant in the backfield, and passing complete and intended for Calhoun. Let's toss it down to Katie George.
Well, guys, during that last break, David Cutcliffe got on his offensive line when Duke turned the ball over. He said, stop worrying about their linebackers. Worry about the first guys you see. Take care of their D-line so we can, in turn, take care of the ball.
What they call that, Dave, MDM, most dangerous man. You know, the guy closest to the football is the guy with his hands on the ground and is a defensive lineman. So before you can work up to that second level, you got to block the guy in front of you.
Now Bobo with a completed pass. Jake Bobo with another catch, and that'll gain him 3 yards. And keeping the short passing game going here for Chase Bryce, who has passed for a high percentage in the first half, but nothing terribly daring at this point. It's a big reason they have not gotten into the end zone yet.
Their second timeout of the half.
And Miami will take the timeout on 3rd down and 7 for the Duke Blue Devils. And Bryce is 14 out of 18, but only 74 yards so far, Tim, in the first half.
Yeah, they just can't protect long enough for him to do anything down the field. And I think it's one of the reasons the game plan has been, you know, these short passes to get it out to the perimeter to, A, be able to get the ball off, and B, also try to get these defensive linemen running sideline to sideline where they, you know, don't feel like they can just pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. So, okay, I think it's one of these plans that you maybe don't see the benefits of it right away, but you hope you see the benefits of it later on in the football game.
We compare the stats so far: 236 total yards for Miami, just 81 for Duke. And De'Ara King has rushed for a touchdown. He's passed for another. That's been the story of his career. 3rd down and 7. Bryce fires that one out of bounds as he tended to get it to Bobo to bring up 4th down.
And I think that, you know, when you see, you know, that's about as much time as Chase Bryce had. You also were looking for some type of separation. And, you know, Miami calling that timeout prior to 3rd down. You know, obviously hungry enough for more points here with, you know, just over a minute left and another timeout available.
So Porter Wilson, redshirt freshman, who's been a bright spot punting the football this season for the Duke Blue Devils, had a 70-yarder against Georgia Tech and does get this one away. Here's Harley. Likes to take this one. Breaks free of one man, getting across the 20. And a flag down. With 50 seconds to go. 56-yard punt, 14-yard return, but a flag. So it has been all Hurricanes here in the first half as they play their most important game of the season. Still an opportunity to play in the ACC championship game. And coming in ranked as the number 10 team in the country.
There are 2 fouls in a play, both by the receiving team during the return. Block in the back, receiving team number 4, that penalty is declined. Block in the back, number 86, that penalty is accepted. Penalty will be half the distance from the spot of the foul. First down.
So 2 blocks in the back on that one. 21-0 Miami. Now Cameron Harris has had such a good night, Tim.
Yeah, and you know, really was probably looking at a reduced role, but because of the injury early to Jalen Knighton, Cam Harris basically takes over once again, and he's been excellent. You know, we've seen him, you know, run with power, but he's run with a lot of elusiveness and speed tonight. Good job of the guys up front as well.
He gets the call on the very first attempt here inside the final 40 seconds. And stopped by Marquise Waters to bring up second down for Miami. Second down and 11, backed up inside their own 5-yard line. Miami trying to come out of Durham, North Carolina tonight at 8-1 and 7-1 in conference play. And after kind of a choppy start and a fumble on the very first play, they really got things rolling. Harris looking for a hole on that left side, and that will do it. That's the end of the first half.
That's the end of the first half.
Duke will have the football when we get the second half underway. King with a touchdown run and a pass. Big star in the first half.
Laser X, the #1 home laser tag game on the planet. And now, get ready for the revolution. Join Team Red, Blue, or
Duke right now leading 21-0. Let's take a look at the highlight. Miami, we haven't seen Coach Diaz or his squad in over 3 weeks. Middle of first quarter, Miami looks sharp. De'Aaron King finds Brevin Jordan. Jordan finds his way to the end zone, 24 yards for the tutty. Miami strikes first. Less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter, 1st and 10 for the Canes. Cameron Harris, that's right, the Canes doing it on the ground, 34 yards, untouched, clean uni, and 6. Miami 14-0. And again in the end.
Some impressive offensive numbers, certainly for the Canes. 241 total yards, just 81 for the Blue Devils. 13 first downs, Tim Hasselbeck, compared to 6 for the Duke team.
Yeah, it's been one-sided and somewhat not surprising with the way Miami was playing. They were concerned about their 3-week layoff, and after a turnover early and a little bit of rust, they were able to shake that right off, and De'Aaron King and the rest of this Miami offense started to take over.
King rushing for a touchdown and passing for another. A lot of completions for Chase Bryce, but has not been able to get his team into the end zone, and no deep drives for Duke to this point. But the Blue Devils will have the football to begin the second half. Great to have you with us tonight. Clemson starting to break away from Virginia Tech in another very meaningful game inside the conference tonight. And upended on the run back there for the Duke Blue Devils, Bilyard Johnson. So that's where they'll start this drive. Let's go down to Katie.
Well, guys, I spoke with David Cutcliffe, and he said they're losing the game at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't feel like his offense has given his running backs a fair chance. He wants to see Chase Bryce get rid of the ball quicker, and he hopes to run more RPOs so that they can open up the run game in the second half.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. A brilliant offensive mind, of course, Coach Cutcliffe, and a tremendous history. He is calling the plays. It's the first time he's done it as a head coach, but it's not all the time, as he's taken to calling the plays on offense. First down and 10. And Durant will be in the backfield along with Chase Bryce. Expectations were raised so high as he was the backup at Clemson, but this has been a totally different story for Duke. And on the carry, it'll be Durant off to the right. He's stacked up. And stopped by Amari Carter. He'll pick up 3.
And I think winning in the trenches, as David Cutcliffe is talking about, is really the key, to be able to get positive yards in the run game, and then, protect your quarterback long enough that he doesn't need to just throw it right away. I mean, there's so much talk about him, playing faster and not holding on to the football, but there are times as a quarterback when you push the ball down the field, you do need to feel protected.
Big hole this time for Durant to race right through before he is finally tackled by Carter. So one of the better running plays all game, really, for either side. 17 yards.
Yeah, it was. You just basically find a seam here. As you see, it was a really nice job of getting up the field by the Miami defensive lineman, but that creates seams. And good job by Durant of just putting that left foot in the ground and getting up the field once he sees that initial seam.
Durant leading him also with 7 rushing touchdowns. He can do damage inside that red zone. First down and 10. Bryce back to throw. O'Shea coming on him quickly. He's going to fire that one complete on the side. And caught by Jake Bobo. Bobo has a great family tradition of athletes in New England. His dad, Mike, was a football captain at Dartmouth. His mom, Casey, played ice hockey there. His grandfather was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. His other one played hockey at the University of New Hampshire, and he had an aunt who played hockey at Harvard. And that list just goes on and on.
Also pretty good schools as well.
That's right.
Probably decent students.
SAT scores in that family are through the roof as well. On a carry, Durant will pick up 8 yards. Yeah, forget about the athletics. Just about the academics alone is incredibly impressive. I mean, it's not Boston College, but it's close,
If you needed any tutoring, you knew to call the Bobos. That's for sure. He's an impressive-looking athlete, too, at 6'5". I mentioned earlier, kind of contested catch guy. And I think just being able to be healthy and available is probably the biggest thing for him and how he can help this Duke offense.
Well, early in the drive, but Duke has looked sharp so far. Staying on the ground once again, it'll be Jackson straight ahead. Deion Jackson will pick up 7 yards, so this is the best they have looked for any extended period so far tonight.
And, I'm sure that David Cutcliffe gave him an earful. Anytime you're calling out the offensive line, it usually gets everybody's attention, but good job so far. A little bit of, better pass protection, some positive plays in the run game, and, start to kind of feed off of that.
Second and short, firing into the flat. Calhoun upended. This could be close. And we'll see what they say here for the Duke Blue Devils, trying to keep this drive rolling right out of the gate to begin the second half. Third down, 3rd and short. And he'll plunge ahead. Bryce keeping the football for the first down. So 1st and 10 coming up for Duke.
We've kind of seen some of the things that David Cutcliffe was talking about coming out of halftime, which was, do a better job blocking up front in the run game. They've done that, done a little bit better job in the passing game as well. We saw an RPO on 2nd down. And so, you have some success. It kind of opens up that call sheet for David Cutcliffe to maybe get to some of the things that they maybe feel like that they can take advantage of.
First down 10 for Duke. Looking to throw, but here they come again and take it down. It's O'Shea. He is just so quick to the quarterback. They're going to lose 7 yards. And a fumble on the play. O'Shea able to get that football loose on the hit. So once again, the turnover continues to be a giant problem for Bryce, and Miami has the football back.
Congratulations. Welcome to the AFLAC program. Now tell me, what does AFLAC do?
AFLAC pays you money directly to help with unexpected.
A flag with the fumble recovery after the sack by Roche, and you see there 19 turnovers by Chase Bryce. That's more than 117 FBS teams, and yet another fumble. There's 6 of those already, so Miami back on the attack again. Wiggins with the football, and 2nd down coming up. But Tim, you think those fumbles are worse than the interceptions?
They're worse because of where they happen. You know, when you talk quarterbacks, everyone wants to talk touchdowns and interceptions, and that's fine. But fumbles by the quarterback are worse than interceptions. They happen behind the line of scrimmage. You know, you can throw a pass 30 yards down the field and it's picked off. It can in some ways be similar to a punt. And so these fumbles have just been devastating to Duke offensively. And I think it's probably one of the things that's been most frustrating to David Cutcliffe is, you got a drive going there. Listen, it's fine. You have a sack because you get beat up front, but to have that be a turnover because you're not secure the ball in the pocket, you know, kind of is an unacceptable situation for your offense to be in. You know, with a quarterback, yes, he hasn't been a starter for long, but he does have enough experience that ball security in the pocket needs to be done better.
You know, his coach was talking about him this week that he looks emotionally and mentally exhausted after many of these games. You can see him wearing it right now after another turnover. 2nd down 12. King to fire and complete. Boy, he is loving Brevin Johnson again, his tight end. It has been big tonight. This goes for 26.
Yeah, and you know, we kind of talked about, you know, the little bit of a break, you know, help some of these bumps and bruises heal. And Brevin Jordan, who is a tight end, but he runs like a receiver. And, you know, I think that the connection there, when you combine with how the wide receiver group has stepped up, Dave, to have Brevin Jordan, you know, who was described to us, you know, at the beginning of the season as kind of their best weapon offensively outside of the quarterback. See how dangerous he can be.
All ACC tight end. He missed 3 games. Certainly healthy. King finds a hole off to the left. De'Ara King with the carry. And shoved out by Waters, but around an 8-yard pickup for the Miami Hurricanes.
You know, to get back to Jordan a little bit, you just think about this conference of good tight ends, and I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, immediately go to Brevin Jordan talking about tight ends in this conference.
Firing for the end zone and batted down, intended for Mike Harley.
You know, Duke plays a lot of man-to-man coverage, and this is just Jeremiah Lewis man-to-man on Mike Harley, who we've talked about the job he's done, and, you know, a little grabbing late, but I think it's good to have no call, and back shoulder throw is a hard one to defend, and Lewis does a pretty good job there.
2nd down here for King in Miami, trying to find the end zone again. Going to throw it short. Will Mallory still on his feet and diving ahead down around to the 2 or 3 yard line. That is about a 9-yard gain for the number 2 tight end.
Yeah, this is a good quarterback play. Look, we know that De'Ara King's undersized. Just finding throwing angles, finding ways to get the ball off. So talented, and then just quickly back at it again to spit the ball outside to D. Wiggins for the score.
In for the touchdown. D. Wiggins for 6 more for the Miami Hurricanes, starting to lay it on the Duke Blue Devils here in Durham tonight.
It's just amazing how fast these guys go. You know, it's move the pocket play, quickly snap it once again, spit it outside to Wiggins, and it's basically a sweep. And there's Brevin Jordan, who we've talked quite a bit about in the passing game as a receiver, but blocking on the perimeter, not grabbing or holding, sustaining your block so D. Wiggins can find his way into the end zone.
Boy, the balance in these scores so impressive for Miami. Now sailing along with a 28-0 lead over Duke.
Introducing the trusted Butcher Professional Chef Knife, engineered with super steel. It can cut through this, and even this. Not even this will dull it. The super steel blade is sharper.
Well, it's been a season of very good nights for that young man, De'Ara King. 142 yards passing, 43 rushing, 2 touchdown passes, and he has also punched it in on the ground himself. Nothing new there. That's how he works. So 28-0 Miami. It has been a very, very tough night offensively
He believed that well before she was diagnosed with breast cancer, but the way she fought the disease reaffirmed that fact. As Cassandra endured 7 months of chemotherapy, her resiliency, courage, and positivity amazed her children. Through her experience, De'Eric says he learned to be a more grateful individual who focuses on the positives of everything he does.
Her attitude was amazing, you know, just ringing that bell there to signal the end of her chemotherapy treatments. Stopped by Miller, but a 2-yard gain. And then obviously a tremendous bond between mother and son. Man, does she have to be proud of what her son has accomplished at Houston and now at Miami. And the incredible regard he is held in, as you said, Tim, on both sides of the football. I don't think that happens all the time, where the defensive coordinator is raving about the quarterback on his own team. You know, everyone kind of gets tunnel vision, but in Miami, on both sides of the ball, they just love him. And another stop here by the defense. Packall couldn't go anywhere, and that's going to lose a yard.
Yeah, you're right about the leadership, Dave, and I think it was evident to everybody right away as soon as he stepped on campus, you know, not just as the player, but I think as the person and as the leader. And I'm sure his mom, you know, had a lot to do with that personality and that kind of infectious,
After the play
influence
was over,
on people.
Personal foul, number 1, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down. Number 62 helmet came off, but he may remain in the game because it was taken off by the defender.
So a personal foul on Nesta Jade Silvera, the junior from Pembroke Pines, Florida, and right to the head coach for a little counsel.
And I think this is where Manny Diaz, you know, I think Miami got into some issues with this. You know, there's always been this mentality of the swagger and this aggressiveness, but I think there's also, you know, a point where, you know, it can hurt your football team. And to your point, Dave, I think teaching the lesson there, I think Manny's done a nice job of that, of cleaning up some of the, if you will, selfish mistakes that some of these Miami teams in recent memory have made. And I think I think there's been some growth, you know, in the football team in that regard. You see the kind of bottom screen on the hash mark there is kind of fighting afterwards away from the ball, and hard for the official to miss that.
2nd down 5 for Duke. And on the carry, Deion Jackson. Now back to Manny Diaz, going for his 5th consecutive victory tonight. He's made a lot of smart decisions. The hiring of offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley, we talked about that. Now he's a very hot commodity. Naming Hall of Famer Ed Reed as chief of staff. Correcting the glaring kicking problem they had a year ago, and of course getting a very talented veteran quarterback. And a lot of those decisions are exactly why they're here tonight at 7-1.
It's a great point. And, you know, taking a chance on number 15, Jalen Phillips, who, you know, had been out of football. And, you know, you just think about the boxes that he's checking. And listen, it's adding guys like this, Jalen Phillips, who, you know, is a dominant player inside once again. And it's Monk who barely gets a hand on him. And, you know, the concerns, Dave, you know, when we had Miami games a year ago, whether it was things they did offensively or, you know, guys they were missing, Miami seemed to get them all.
Number 39, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Yeah, Phillips tonight, 1.5 sacks and counting. So he has 6.5 and an interception for the season. And we were talking with defensive coordinator Blake Baker about, you know, this young man falling out of love with the game of football while at UCLA. So much of that was because of injuries, and actually retiring from the game. A little bobble here by Harley, has to drop and fall on that. Where the drive will begin for Miami, trying to add on to a 28-0 lead over the Duke Blue Devils tonight.
4 teams, 2 semifinals, New Year's Day.
Plus a 300-foot range. You can get the Revolution double set for $49.99. And shipping is free. Batteries not included. Extra blasters sold separately. Must be 18 years.
Line, but they have 28 in the bank. And a big lead here over the Duke Blue Devils. First down and 10 for De'Ara King. And the Canes, the Houston transfer, has played a starring role again tonight. And Miami, after some early rust, shook that off pretty quickly. And they have been driving with tremendous balance. And a lot of it has been on the ground with Cam Harris running the football. He's going to pick up 2 here. He had a big rumble to the end zone from 34 yards very early in the game, setting the tone for this. And Miami playing for the first time in 3 weeks. Harris can be maybe a target here. It's going to be Harley right down the center of the field. 30, 20. Forget about this. Mike Harley is gone. Touchdown, Miami. 89 yards for that strike. Now De'Ara King going long this time to his favorite receiver.
Right there, they talked about getting explosive plays kind of in the middle part of the season, not finding them, and kind of this little stack down at the bottom of your screen. It's a busted coverage because you have 2 Duke defenders, running at 1 wide receiver. That turns Harley free, and De'Ara King sees it, delivers a nice ball, and Harley, who has been on fire, continues with his big plays.
The fastest man they have on offense, and he was just gone in a blink of an eye. And 35-0 Miami. Now Harley would come in having made 24 catches over the last 3 games, but this one goes for 89 yards.
And you see first 5 games versus last 4. And when we talked to Brett Lashley prior to the Virginia game, we said, what are you doing at wide receiver? He seems like you're rotating a lot of guys through there. And I think we kind of came away from that conversation thinking, well, we're playing a bunch of guys to get somebody to, step up and make some plays. And that message was probably received loud and clear by Mike Harley because he has stepped up.
Well, Brett Lashley also said that when Mike Harley decided to practice like a pro, to go hard, to look every catch in, stay for extra reps after practice, and become that consistent leader on and off the field, it was no surprise his game improved dramatically this past month. Lashley says Harley's new approach has already had a positive impact on the group. It's elevated the plays of guys like D. Wiggins and Mark Pope. So Harley has reset the culture in the receiver room, and that's invaluable.
Well, that was his longest touchdown reception of his career and Miami's longest play of the season. And that's the way the night has been going. Is the football loose? Yeah, Miami says they have it again. Boy, the turnovers for the Duke Blue Devils have been astonishing this season. They've added to those tonight. And now we'll see who has the football. On the kickoff return, Miami says they've got it. Then Miami will have the football again on yet another Duke turnover.
Early on the field, the receiver fumbled the football, recovered by Miami. First down.
See it there. Philly Johnson just tries to go up over the tackler, and that ball's clearly out. And for a team and a program that made a big deal about the turnover chain and getting them on special teams now.
Looked like Dominic Monterelli came away with the football. So here's King right back at it, throwing long again, trying for the end zone and incomplete. As he wanted once again the tight end Brevin Jordan, but incomplete. 35-0 Miami, and no hesitation. It's pedal to the metal once again with that offensive tempo.
Yeah, Dave, I was thinking the same thing, and back to Manny Diaz telling us, we recently have not played well when we have not been threatened. It's kind of that trap game mentality, and I think staying pedal to the metal is important for his group, is for the culture he's trying to build.
Chaney with a solid gain as he tucks the shoulder. Donald Chaney, the freshman from Homestead, Florida, will pick up 7. And the Canes trying to punch this one in after the 3rd turnover of the game and the 33rd of the season for Duke. D'Eriq King going to take off with this. He finds a bit of a gap as he gets inside the 20-yard line, stopped by Jalen Stinson. He'll pick up 1 yard there.
Well, I think in terms of the culture, also just, you know, not having guys, having a 3-week layoff, staying pedal to the metal, Dave, in situations like this, I think are critical. Is why you see a 4th down, up 35, sticking with it.
And Miami on Sunday night didn't even know, you know, if they were who they were going to play on the carry to pick up the 1st down. It's a 6-yard gain for Chaney. They had like 3 different teams they were planning for at about 8 o'clock last Sunday. Same was true of the Duke Blue Devils, by the way.
And that's a challenge, especially if you're a team that, you know, kind of pride yourselves or feel good about your game planning and your scheming for a particular opponent, because you do have to be more generic with that type of short notice.
Okay, we'll keep it on play action. Stopped by Waters. Manny Diaz told us this week, he said, you know, we're looking at so many different teams, or 2 or 3 different teams, and once in a while we'll go, yeah, on 3rd down we think they're going to do this, and then they realize they were talking about another team. They were talking about Wake Forest when they meant to be talking about North Carolina. So everything got mixed in.
True. Hey,
very confusing.
We've all had that happen before. It's probably unnerving if you're trying to send in a defense or an offensive play call.
Harris trying to get to the end zone. Is going to be just short inside the 1-yard line. Tackle made by Drew Jordan to prevent a touchdown there, but that's an 11-yard gain.
You know, Dave, isn't it funny? We basically go from scheduling games years out to basically pickup games.
Harris again into the end zone. So once again, Miami finding pay dirt. Another touchdown for the Hurricanes. And Blowout City, as they have taken the lead of 41-0 over the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we're just wearing down. I mean, the Duke defensive line barely has their hand in the ground, and you know, just movement. You know, one of the things they tell offensive linemen down here is score with your man, and that's basically what DJ Scaife did, is push his man into the end zone, and Cameron Harris just follows him in.
42-0. You know, talked about this football team kind of hearkening back in some ways to the grand days of Miami football, and you know, renaissance at the U we shall see. 6 ACC wins, 3rd time since joining the ACC in 2004. Ranked in the top 10. And this guy has been outstanding. King at the quarterback position with that high QBR, highest at Miami since 2004. You talk about a program that has produced some great quarterbacks. Heisman Trophy winners, 10-win seasons between '83 and '02, 13 of those. And with a victory tonight, Miami would improve to 8-1 and 7-1 in the ACC.
And that graphic we're looking at is could be alarming. You know, we talk about the tradition at the U, and unfortunately, so much of that tradition is earlier than 2002. And I think, you know, I don't know that everybody understood the task at hand that Manny was inheriting as the head coach at Miami, and how much work needed to be done. When you look at that and the struggles, you know, in the, you know, over 15 years, you know, prior to him being, you know, named the head coach. So I do think you have to commend him and the job that he has done, and a lot of these changes that we referenced earlier.
Yeah, a lot of really savvy decisions that have paid off here. And from the goal line, Duke to take this out. Billiard Johnson's had a couple of nice returns tonight.
Runs it out. He is met by Marcus Clark.
course, Duke had been warming up Gunnar Holmberg. Chase Bryce is going to stay in at the quarterback spot, but the sophomore from Wake Forest, North Carolina, Holmberg, had been throwing on the sideline there, Tim, for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it, 42-0, would not surprise me if we don't see somebody else, entering the game at quarterback for Duke.
Durant on the carry, trying to cut back inside. Jay Silvera with the stop, and 0 gain on that attempt. So last couple of minutes of the third, Miami building up a 42-0 advantage.
And Dave, in these situations where you're maybe going to play another quarterback, you do want to create some type of positive feeling for Chase Bryce and the rest of your offense, quite frankly.
He's going to fire, and that one will be dropped in and out of the hands of Eli Pankol. A flag on the play.
Offside, defense, number 22, 5-yard penalty, replay, second down.
You talk about Chase Bryce and the season that he has had. He's just had a dreadful time when expectations were so high coming out of a great program like Clemson. And yes, he was the backup, but he enjoyed some success there. Remember a couple of years ago when Trevor Lawrence got knocked around a little bit, had to leave a game because of injury. Chase Bryce came off the bench and led them on a terrific drive. They won that game, and he got a lot of credit for that. He didn't have many moments like that, but the few that he did made you think that maybe coming to Duke and continuing his career here, especially under an outstanding offensive mind like Coach Cutcliffe, that it might go a lot better than this time.
Look, it's harder to play quarterback when your talent isn't just better than the team that you're playing. It's harder, plain and simple. And so you're going to face some challenges when that happens. And then you throw in, what this 2020 season has been for so many football programs. I think it's affected Duke maybe more than it, would affect other programs. And, and I think that, part of the challenge is that if, you're worried so much about the destination, and I don't know if this is the case for Chase Bryce, but the expectations were about the destination, and here now he's going to go play in the NFL. Well, look, sometimes it's just important to enjoy the fact that you're getting a chance to be a starting quarterback in college football when you were in a situation where you were just going to be sitting and watching somebody else play.
Yeah, that's a great point. When you agree to play quarterback at Clemson, regardless who else is there, as he takes a pretty vicious hit and goes down again, you are looking at that next level. They're looking at you as a quarterback for the NFL, right? That's typical in a program like that. That's the end of the third. Miami with a big time 42-0 advantage on Duke going to the fourth.
Our turf, our stomping grounds, our side-paved sanctuary. Whether we get there through smoke, on horseback.
Their only loss all season long, Tim, is the Clemson Tigers.
With Trevor Lawrence at quarterback.
Yes. Which
I think
not the case in the Notre Dame game.
We'll be talking a lot about as we talk about, the ACC championship game, which obviously Clemson and Notre Dame. And, look, Trevor Lawrence and DJ Uiagalelei played really well, but, it's just different. It's a different football team with Trevor Lawrence, and you heard Dabble talk about him as the best player in college football. Well, you take the best player in college football of any college team each season, and you have to think it makes a difference.
Tries to fire, and a completed pass to Durant. Lost the handle on that one, but he was down, and a pretty vicious hit again, and Miami has been laying those hits on Duke all over the place tonight.
We talk about this Miami kind of team and defense, and I do think at the linebacker level they're improving, and Keontra Smith is one of these guys that that I think plays with pretty good speed at that level. And I think they can still get some more speed in their secondary, but up front they've been dominating, and at the linebacker level I do think they have some ascending players.
So Duke to punt on 4th and 6, and Miami to get another crack at it. Looking to add to a big lead tonight. Miami headed to a New Year's 6 game, certainly. Only 1 loss on the season. They came in hopeful that maybe Clemson would stub their toe at Blacksburg and suffer a colossal upset. It's not going to happen. And meanwhile, the Duke Blue Devils having trouble moving the football at all. And Perry will go in as the quarterback, so King will step aside. So the 6'4" junior out of Ocala, Florida, is going to get a pass off very quickly here to Chaney. Chaney in the open field. Chaney will cut to his right before he is taken down after another massive gain.
It's a really cool play designed by Miami. It's essentially a fake quarterback draw. Watch N'Kosi Perry. He kind of attacks the line of scrimmage. They pull the guard. It looks like run. And, as the defenders are scrambling to find, any guys running down the field, they sneak the back out of the backfield. And I think there is some creativity in the play calling, combined, Dave, with the pace. And it makes this group hard to defend. And then you throw the quarterback into the mix. Obviously was watching Perry, but D'Eriq King, and man, it makes them tough. And I do think that they're playing their best football offensively right now.
Canes ranked 90th nationwide in offense a season ago. 90th. Now, this is night and day, which you're not only seeing tonight, but you've seen all season long. That goes for no gain. So King will presumably get the rest of the night off.
And Dave, with that improvement, think about last year. Was this offensive line? They couldn't block anybody, and they're giving up sacks, and that's all anybody ever really wanted to talk about. I think the change in scheme has really helped the guys up front, because we're not pointing out guys with missed assignments and missed blocks and not holding up in pass protection. You have a quarterback getting rid of the football, and you've got guys up front coming off the ball, which has really helped their run game.
Low snap. They're able to stay on his feet, trying to spin away from the tackle, but can't do it. Stayed alive for a moment there. He's completed a 55-yard strike on this drive, but this is going to lose 11 yards. And the pass play between King and Harley that went to the end zone, went for 89 yards. That's the 4th longest pass play for a touchdown in Miami history.
It's pretty wild. You think about Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin. There's been a lot of really good wide receivers at the U. So to be in the top 5, you've done a nice job.
Borregales on again. He's missed one from 43. This would be from 52, but a timeout. So a timeout with Miami ahead 42-0. Now coming up, Packer and Durham. Pull up a chair indeed. Weekdays from 7 to 10 in the morning to get you up to date on everything. And we mean everything in the ACC. And a whole lot for Packer and Durham to talk about occurring this particular weekend. A big weekend for the Atlantic Coast Conference, with Clemson going in, needing to knock off Virginia Tech to keep Miami from playing the ACC championship. Notre Dame with a big win today over Syracuse. They had already locked up a spot in the ACC title game on the 19th. So Borregales on, and looking to kick another field goal over 50 yards. He's done that once this season. He had a 57-yarder against Louisville in week 2. And trying to add on for the Canes. I've certainly enjoyed their time tonight here in Durham, North Carolina at Wallace Wade Stadium. A much different story, very different story last year when they got together and Duke pulled out the victory. They had 9 quarterback sacks, and they won the ball game 27-17. But Miami has really punched them in the mouth tonight.
Yeah, you think about that. We were just talking about the offensive line struggles. 9 sacks. You know, it just. I mean, I can't even imagine any team really getting to Derek King 9 times just with his elusiveness. So, yeah, it's been a big change, and the team looks like a different team. It's just interesting. It's kind of staying the course, but, you know, you make a few changes, how different your program can look in just a year.
So Jose Borregales, it's been considerably longer than the one he missed early in the game. He has made 15 out of 17. And again, a 52-yarder. As he lays into this one, and that one was true. He nailed it. Miami continues to score, now leading at 45-0 over the Duke Blue Devils. ACC Network Football presented by Geico. Tim Hasselbeck at home, Dave O'Brien at home, and Katie George lucky enough to be there in Durham, North Carolina. For Miami and Duke, the Canes with a resounding 45-0 lead on the Blue Devils on this Saturday night in the ACC, and the Canes to kick off again as they are having a delightful time here in this road game, their first game in 3 weeks. But for long stretches of the game, they certainly haven't looked it. And let's see now if the Duke Blue Devils change up their quarterback and go with Gunnar Holmberg. By the way, one of the great names for a quarterback in college football. Gunnar at 6'3", 205, sophomore out of Wake Forest, North Carolina. He's completed 13 out of 19 for about 130 yards this season. And indeed, he is coming on to play the quarterback position now for Duke. Last couple of games he's gotten into, he's gone 10 for 15. He's going to keep the football and try, and he's going to lose it, and Miami is going to come up with another fumble. And it's Carter, Amari Carter, there to scoop that up. So Holmberg, on the very first play he gets, he coughs it up.
It's a design quarterback draw. So it's a scripted run for the quarterback here, and just doesn't secure the football. You know, it is hard. It's a big hit, you know, right on the football. But it's one of the challenges. You're standing on a sideline, you know, for 3.5 quarters basically, and then you're thrown in there and you realize kind of how physical it is, especially on a design run inside. I think that turnover chain, Dave, like, I'm sure with today's protocols, it's got to be wiped down between turnovers.
It's getting a workout tonight. So Miami taking over the football, and Perry with the run. He's the other number 5. Carter, the defender, wears that number. With the turnover chain Miami has made famous. They forced their 4th Duke turnover. And so the Canes on the move again, and you realize if Duke gives up another touchdown, that's going to be 3 consecutive games where they've allowed 50 or more points. So the bottom really fallen out here at the end of the season. They're close to it for the Duke Blue Devils. Chaney with the carry.
And a statistic like that, Dave, I mean, obviously it comes across as so much on, you know, the defense, but as we've talked about these turnovers, and you know, it'll end up kind of as this defensive stat, but the offense has put this defense in such a remarkable bind, defending short fields, on the field a lot, and it's just hard to do, especially when you play a team that wants to operate as fast as Miami wants to operate.
You know, you and I have seen a lot of teams, as Bryce looks on from the sideline, a lot of teams this season who want to go fast. You know, they want to play up tempo. But, you know, as Rhett Lashley told us early in the season, you've got to have the right people to do that. You can't just say, oh, we want to go warp speed, so we're going to do it. You have to have the right guys And he certainly has the right guys.
He does. And I also think that he has an appreciation for that first down, which we also hear coaches that want to go fast talk about. 3 and outs, you know, are nearly as bad as the turnovers, just because it puts your defense back on the field quickly. And I think they do a good job with their drive starters.
And incidentally, Duke has not been shut out in quite a while, since October of '08, when they lost 27-0 to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And that's another one that Coach Cutcliffe would love to stay away from tonight, but not much has gone right for his team at all. And so another attempt here by Borregales, who just nailed one moments ago from 52. This is 32 yards for the kicker. And that one is up and good. There's a flag on that play. Miami with a field goal at the moment, leading 48-0. Manny Diaz bearing down on a 5th consecutive win.
The field goal is good. After the play was over, personal foul. Number 51 of Duke. Contact to the head. 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the ensuing kickoff. Timeout.
ACC Network Football is presented by Geico. You could save even more by bundling home and car insurance.
Edgerrin James, December 5, 1998 against UCLA, just ran them off the field. A Miami record 299 rushing yards for James. A spectacular performance. Miami's had so many of them. They're getting a number of them this season for Coach Diaz. Last conference win by 45 or more was in '05. Largest road win against an ACC opponent, defeating Duke in '83, 56-17, and up here 48-0 with almost 9 minutes to go.
I don't think Duke likes being on that graphic that many times, but
right. Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, every season's kind of got its own story, and I think that this season and the challenges for Duke, I think, have been, you know, fairly well documented and has not helped them. And you know, I think Miami, they kind of survived a stretch where, you know, they kind of were out without a bunch of players, and looks like they are coming back from that stretch, playing as well as they've played all season long.
And it's a big deal in South Florida for Miami to be a really good team and to be highly ranked. Right now, the number 10 ranked team in the country. Waters will race out of bounds there. Well, congratulations to the Clemson Tigers. They knocked off Virginia Tech 45-10. Notre Dame won today against Syracuse 45-21. So the Irish and the Tigers will indeed meet in the ACC championship game on December 19th. And of course, both with an opportunity to play for a national championship. Miami had hopes tonight with a victory against Duke, and they've taken care of their end of things. That if Clemson stumbled, they'd have an opportunity to play in that ACC title game. That will not be the case.
But I do think Manny Diaz has done a nice job with his football team with all of the what ifs. And what if they do this? And what if we win this game? And, you know, all of that talk. I think that Manny's probably done a good job with his team of, you know, kind of addressing the elephant in the room, but also saying, look, we're not going to get caught up in that stuff. We're not going to get caught up in, well, what if we're a one, you know, loss team, and, you know, our one loss is to a Clemson team that had Trevor Lawrence. I think the thing that his message has been let's go win them, count them at the end of the year. If we have a gripe later, then let's deal with it then. But if we don't win the rest of them, it doesn't matter what our gripe is.
And he talked about that this week with us, you know, keeping everybody focused on what you have in front of you and not all the chatter out there on Twitter, on social media, or what the columnists might be writing about that just over 7 minutes ago here in the fourth. And they certainly have come to Durham and taken care of it. What they had on their plate. Waters with the carry. He'll be dragged down. And that'll pick up 1 yard for the Duke Blue Devils.
You know, he also talked about that being coach speak. You know, he said, you know, what's in front of you? You're like, yeah, that's coach speak. But he's like, and I think he called it cliche. He goes, but there's a reason it's a cliche. It's the reason people say it. A lot of times it's true. And I think the challenge is getting your team to believe that, getting your team to buy into that. And
timeout.
That's what you have to do, even with all these distractions, and he's done a nice job.
And Miami will take a timeout. 6:21 left in the contest. Miami leading 48-0.
Congratulations. Welcome to the AFLAC program.
Huddle, and the guys are ready. That's coming up next. Led by that very sharp-dressed man, Jordan Cornette. Always dresses like $1 million.
Can't hide money, Dave.
You can't. Style points, man. Coming up on 6 minutes to go. You know, if you look good, you know, you don't have to try, right? And he doesn't even have to try. But that's a great looking suit as always. You know, we're talking about the season that the Hurricanes have had, and one thing to keep in mind is there have been some very close wins for the Canes. They beat, you know, Virginia by 5, NC State by 3. They snuck by Virginia Tech. Obviously, they had a lot of players affected by COVID. They barely played that game, but they won by 1 in compiling a 7-1 record. So they all haven't all been 48-0. That's for sure. Holmberg showing off some pretty decent arm strength and gets that one away for a completion.
And I think those close games by Miami, you know, those close wins are why that, I think some people, when they look up and they see they're a top 10 team, it may be a little surprising. Like, oh yeah, I guess they are in the top 10. And look, I think in fairness, and, you know, when we've seen, look, North Carolina State's won 7 games, and Virginia, we've had them a bunch, and that's a tough football team, and they kind of find different ways to get it done. And you mentioned the Virginia Tech game. They had so many players out. I think it's hard to judge wins in a season like this with all of the changes and challenges that each team has had.
It truly is. I mean, how do you judge anything? And look, I know scoring is way up in college football this season. A lot of the numbers are off the charts, but it's been as unusual an athletic season as you're ever going to find anywhere. We talked about it earlier tonight, how the ACC is very proud of the fact that they've been able to play so many games compared to other schools. You know, so some schools like Stanford might only have played 4 games by now, you know, in other conferences.
Yeah, and that's wild. And, you know, David Cutcliffe was very, you know, proud of his football team, because he said, look, we've been available every week, and losing is hard, and losing, you know, stinks, and it can make kind of for a miserable environment. But, you know, he's made the point to us that for these student athletes, nothing is normal other than playing football. Classes aren't normal, campus isn't normal, your living arrangements aren't. And so, look, even in these losing situations, I think the job the ACC has done to play these games, and the players who wanted to play them and have sacrificed a bunch to get it to happen, kudos to them.
Well, another turnover. And this one is going to be picked off by Clark, Marcus Clark, with the interception. The 5th turnover for Duke tonight.
Do you feel overwhelmed and defeated trying to work out with these heavy ropes? They're so big.
The guy that you want to point to is Derek King. He's just been so good, just in every aspect of how he's played tonight. He's run it, found his big tight end over the middle for a score, got big plays in the passing game. He finds Mike Harley, and just a lot of big moments.
Chaney staying on his feet, taking to that far sideline after another turnover And a turnover chain getting quite a workout tonight from Miami. They forced 5 of them. And after the interception, just a little over 3 minutes to go as we get out of Katie George.
Well, guys, some unfortunate news. Chris Rumpf, the DN for Duke, who's the vocal leader, heart and soul of this team, was just carted off back to the locker room. He had his head in his hands on the back of the Gator, so I'll keep you posted on what we hear.
Well, that is very sad news indeed. You're talking about one of the great players in this conference, the 6'4" junior out of Gainesville, Florida, who had 8 sacks for the season. Coming in, Chaney darting off to the right side. Miami has just gone over 500 yards in total offense. But certainly our heart goes out to Chris Rumpf at this point, and we'll hope to have more information for the network, his condition, but as Katie mentioned, carted off late in this game.
And the emotion associated with it, you know, usually at least gives you the feeling that, you know, it isn't, you know, a good situation. And I think that there's a challenge. There's so many players that have sacrificed to play, you know, in a season like this, many of them with next level aspirations, which Chris Rumpf certainly has, and will have an opportunity to play at the next level. And, you know, late in the year like that, it's hard to see that happen to somebody.
So 48-0 Miami. And you're talking about a guy, Chris Rumpf, who is a preseason All-American on several lists, and certainly had lived up to it in an otherwise dismal season for Duke. They're about to fall to 2-8. So less than 90 seconds to go here in Durham. And the quarterback on to keep here with just a few moments to play. It's been a great night for several of the Hurricanes, certainly, and we actually had the longest touchdown pass in a while, and the 4th longest in the history of Miami football, completed by De'Ara King to Mike Harley for a score. Well, the freshman out of Houston, Texas. And the last half minute of play as he will take a knee. So, Tim, your final thoughts tonight on De'Ara King and Miami sailing to a big win.
Well, he was fantastic, not surprising, and I think some of the concerns about the rust were probably, you know, were warranted with the way we saw their first 2 drives start, but it didn't take long to knock off the rust, and I think that ends up being the key for this team. They really playing well, and I think clicking offensively, which makes them a really, really dangerous team to face going forward.
King with 3 touchdown passes and a touchdown run. Harris with a pair of touchdown runs, and Harley with that 89-yard touchdown reception. Miami with an impressive win, to say the least. For Tim Hasselbeck and Katie George, I'm Dave O'Brien saying good night from Durham, North Carolina.